Hi, I'm Tracy Schuhmacher with the Democrat and Chronicle, and I'm here with Brian Etten, co-owner of Pizza Wizard, which is just about to open.
Hi, Tracy. Yeah, we're
How
just
are you?
and hopefully this weekend is the plan. Friday night, that's the goal.
Awesome. Okay, so I think most people know you for Playhouse Swillburger, the burgers, the Tot Creations. How did you start getting interested in pizza?
It was time to try something new. So I started playing around with pizza dough and was getting probably lackluster results. But to me, I was like, wow, this is way better than a lot of the chain restaurants. And one day I was on a restaurant website auction and saw the most massive pizza oven you could possibly own for a business or residential, definitely for a business, and decided, I looked up this pizza oven. I saw it retailed at $20,000, and I put a $500 bid on it. And unfortunately, I won that bid. So I went down and picked that oven up. It was filthy and disgusting. I had to rent a truck with a hydraulic lift on the back. I got it home in my garage, put it in the garage. It cracked the foundation of the floor of the garage. And then it was like, what am I going to do with this thing? So the ownership group of the Playhouse and Swillburger, we just started talking, and I said, hey, you guys think, would you be interested in opening up a pizzeria? And they were all instantly jumped on board. So then my mission was set, and that was about 2 years ago. Last 2 years have been nothing but pizza dough, making dough all day, every day, 3-4 times a week at least. And then I just became infatuated with it and just obsessed.
And is that pizza oven in Pizza Wizard now?
Absolutely not. That pizza oven cost me more to get rid of than it cost me to buy. So that thing, honestly, I started taking it apart piece by piece, and I was unscrewing all these bolts and wires I was taking apart. I have no business doing anything like that, but I said, I'm a handy guy. I can figure this out.
Sure.
The more I took it apart, the less I wanted anything to do with it. Like I said, it had been used and abused, and it just wasn't for me.
Okay. So how did you decide to focus on Detroit style pizza?
Yeah. So at first, the dough I was making was I would say more along the lines of a New York style pizza dough. And then the more I thought about it, there's just a lot of great pizzerias in Rochester, and a lot of great pizzerias that were doing New York style or similar to it. So I figured if we wanted to make a real niche market spot for us in the market, we had to do more than just run of the mill. So looking at a bunch of other different types of dough, and I'd heard about Detroit style, and I like the fact that it's a Great Lakes kind of Rust Belt city that we're kind of a part of, even though there's some great distance between us. So I gave it a shot, and I found some recipe online, just tried it exactly as the recipe was written. And the first bite, I knew that this was it. This was something I wanted to do. Someone explained it to me exactly how I felt about it just the other day, who had tried it for the first time this weekend. They said it was reminiscent of the pizza they ate as a kid. And I didn't grow up in Detroit. I grew up in Geneva, Newark, and Fairport. This person didn't grow up in Detroit. Something about it, it's somewhat reminiscent of a French bread pizza. It's light, it's airy, it's crispy and crusty. It just had a really strong nostalgic aspect to it. So first bite, I knew this was it, and then it was a deep dive into what Detroit style pizza is and how we could take how it's traditionally done and how we could make it kind of our own.
Okay, so how is it traditionally done, and how did you make it your own?
So I'll give you my best understanding of it, and I've taken some classes with some old timers in the Detroit pizza kind of industry, but it's based off of Sicilian pizza, which rectangular. Very often Sicilian pizza will have sauce put on the top. Some people say it's upside down looking pizza. So my understanding of it is Sicilian immigrants in Detroit had a restaurant, and they were asked to make a pizza for a guest, or they wanted to make pizza for some friends, and they just whipped something up that was similar. So what Detroit style pizza has become is it's all cooked in a pan. And back in the day, the very first pans, and this is the legend, the very first pans that were ever used were these blue steel pans that were used in automotive plants in Detroit. And this family just happened to have them lying around because, they're from Detroit. Of course, they have automotive, pans lying around, I guess. So they took this blue steel pan. They made a very kind of high hydration dough, a lot of moisture in the dough. They stretched it to the edges. They let it rise in the pan, and then they covered it in this cheese. And the cheese in Detroit they use is called Wisconsin brick, and that's what the classics kind of use. So edge to edge cheese. There is no visible crust that you would see on a round pizza or a standard pizza. That cheese, as the product bakes, melts down the edges and creates what we call, it almost tastes like a crispy grilled cheese edge to it. It's dry and crisp and crunchy, and the middle, like I said, it's a high hydration dough. It's still moist and very tender. So the pizza's baked with the cheese on the edge, comes out of the oven. It's chiseled out of these steel pans, cooled for a moment, and then finished with warm sauce. So those are some of the key characteristics to Detroit-style pizza. Classically, the original places would put a lot of their toppings, and especially pepperoni was one of the big toppings in Detroit back in the early days, underneath the cheese. So it basically went dough, pepperoni, cheese, cook it, bring it out of the oven, sauce it right at the end. They would stand in the traditional spots would do 2 stripes of sauce down the pizza. A lot of people say that harkens to the like racing stripes. Again, Detroit, cars, automotive, racing stripes down the pizza. So that's kind of the classic way, and that's kind of the way we took most of our inspiration from, following many of those guidelines, including the brick cheese, including the cheese edge to edge on the pan, including saucing to the edge. One of the things we're not doing is toppings under the cheese. We found cup and char pepperoni. It's hot these days. People love it. I love it. I certainly do. And we like lots of it, and we like it on display. Part of the benefits of cup and char pepperoni is that it cups and chars. It looks good. Pools of grease kind of form in the very bottom of it. You get some like blackened bits around the tips, just different textures and flavors. So we couldn't achieve that with pepperoni underneath the cheese. So yeah, we follow a lot of the old standby rules. But I think if you presented our pizza in Detroit, some of the old timers might say, "Oh, this ain't Detroit. I can see pepperoni. This ain't Detroit." But to us, it's good pizza. If you don't want to call it Detroit, you don't have to. We debated quite a long time whether or not we were going to market this as Detroit-style pizza. Ultimately, we thought it was a good reference point for people to look up or Google search or figure out what it is to see if it might be something that's right for them.
Great. And is that the only kind of pizza you're going to do?
Absolutely not. And we were doing, like I said, this has been about a 2-year process of kind of formulating the dough specifically. And after about a year and a half, I got so sick of this stuff. And I'll tell you, it's still fantastic. But when you eat it 3 times a week for a year and a half, you need a change. And so we took inspiration from a few other spots. And, what we're doing for our second style, we're nicknaming it nickel thick. Whether it's the thickness of a nickel or not, that's yet to be determined. I know some people might give us some flack. Maybe every other pizza may be as thick as a nickel, but it's a very, very thin crust pizza. You're from the Chicago area. You might think it reminds you a little bit of Chicago tavern style. We took inspiration from Chicago tavern style, especially in their toppings, which the number one topping out there is a homemade fennel sausage. So we're going to do really flavorful sausage. It's one of the main toppings for that pizza. Another inspiration we took was New England bar style pies. So kind of melding those two. They're very similar, very thin. Those typically, as we discussed earlier, when I saw you a couple weeks ago, they're typically called party cut, and those are cut in little squares. And the idea was that, the working class could go into this pizzeria and have a piece of small square pizza on a napkin and on a bar napkin. And that was to tie them over before dinner. So that's not what we're shooting for. We're not trying to tie you over for dinner. We're trying to feed you dinner. So our bar style pizzas, they're 14 inches. They're, like I said, they're super thin. Some of them will be cut in quarters for big slices, but that's the second style. Super thin, fairly thick.
Great. So, I mean, pizza people are very opinionated. And I count myself among that. I'm guilty. How's the feedback been?
Oh, I'd say it's been great. Yeah. I think we're the most critical of it, myself included. I'm probably the most critical of it. I think I've been happy with it once. One time I had it and I was like, this is perfect. And the 350 other times I've made it in the last year and a half have been just trying to get back there. And, even today I'm experimenting with a completely different formula and a completely different process. And we're trying to open on Friday, but I don't know that I'll ever be as happy as I want to be. But the feedback from the masses or from the people that have tried it has been nothing but positive. And yeah, so we're happy with that. The one interesting thing is a lot of people that have been trying it, the thins, now they're telling me, oh, I like the thins better. I like the thins better. But so much time has been put into these thick pizzas. We'll see which one reigns supreme.
Well, I've tried them both, and I like the thick better. I like the Detroit style.
Good to hear.
But I know exactly about that Chicago tavern style. So, I don't even like to think of things within that realm because then you start comparing.
Right.
Okay, so you're saying you're hoping to open Friday, so that would be October. We're on the 12th, so 16th-ish.
16th-ish. Our goal is to open Friday afternoon, early evening, and the plan is once we know everything is in place, which is looking like it is, we'll be doing this weekend, Friday and Saturday, 4 to 9 p.m., Sunday, 12 to 7. And our first weekend, we're trying to make sure we're doing things as best we can. So we're going to just kind of limit it to online orders and call-in orders, just to make sure, we're comfortable before people start coming in. A few people will eventually be able to sit down. We don't want to look like fools in front of everybody. This is mine, and a lot of people that are working here. This is our first attempt at a pizzeria, so I'm sure we're gonna learn a lot. I'm sure it's gonna be a struggle, but it's been a long process, so I think we're pretty well prepared.
Awesome. And your address?
Address is 760 South Clinton. So if you're familiar with South Clinton, the Cinema Theater, you kind of head away from the cinema towards downtown. It's on the right-hand side. It'll be between Stewart's Spices and the Natural Pet Food Store. We're sandwiched right in there.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining me, and good luck on your opening.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks so much for having me. We'll see you soon.
I will be there.
All right, cool.